Imagine you receive a modest raise at work. At first, it feels like a small victory, a tangible reward for your effort, and you might decide to upgrade your coffee routine, buy a slightly better car, or move into a nicer apartment. These decisions seem harmless, almost inevitable. Yet beneath this surface, an invisible force is quietly at work, a force that erodes your financial freedom long before you even notice. This is the hidden tax of lifestyle inflation, a subtle psychological cost that increases with every upward shift in income. While most people celebrate higher earnings, few realize that the moment we elevate our standard of living, our money's efficiency diminishes. What once seemed abundant now barely covers our elevated expectations, and the feeling of scarcity quietly returns, even with more money in the bank. At its core, lifestyle inflation is not merely a behavioral quirk, it's a psychological pattern rooted in human adaptation. We anchor our sense of comfort to relative wealth rather than absolute wealth. When income rises, our reference points shift and desires escalate. The extra $500 in monthly income no longer represents a small margin of freedom. It becomes absorbed into rent, utilities, dining out, or premium subscriptions. This invisible siphoning is what I call the psychological tax. Money lost not to government or bank fees, but to the compounding effects of expectation and habit. Understanding this pattern requires seeing the math behind our choices, not just the emotional satisfaction they provide. Consider a simple breakdown. Suppose your income increases from $4,000 to $5,000 per month, a 25% rise. If you allow your expenses to grow in lockstep, say from $3,000 to $3,750 monthly, your discretionary surplus remains unchanged relative to income. You earned $1,000 more, but your financial flexibility is barely higher, and in relative terms, you might feel squeezed rather than liberated. Over a year, that extra $250 per month absorbed by lifestyle inflation totals $3,000, essentially nullifying most of your apparent gain. This math extends over decades. Incremental raises without disciplined allocation become invisible drains on wealth accumulation, silently reducing your capacity to invest, save, or prepare for future volatility. Zooming out, lifestyle inflation is not merely personal, it is systemic. Economic systems reward spending through marketing, credit availability, and social comparison. Society normalizes immediate consumption over delayed accumulation. Each visible upgrade, larger homes, luxury gadgets, trendy cars, reinforces a cycle of adaptation. Behavioral economists describe this as hedonic treadmill dynamics. Humans rapidly recalibrate happiness to current circumstances, leaving us chasing a moving target. Money that could amplify long-term freedom instead disappears into consumption loops, leaving higher earners vulnerable to the same financial pressures as before, only on a larger scale. Recognizing the pattern reframes how income should be approached, not as a license to spend more, but as a tool to optimize control and options. Shifting identity is crucial. The person who understands lifestyle inflation begins to see money as a system of leverage rather than a mere reward. Instead of asking, "What can I afford to buy?" they start asking, "How can this increase my long-term freedom?" This mental pivot transforms incremental raises from psychological traps into opportunities for stability, resilience, and wealth accumulation. Small, conscious choices, allocating part of every raise to savings or investments before adjusting lifestyle, compound over time. The math is consistent and impartial. What you redirect today grows without the friction of lifestyle expectations. In closing, lifestyle inflation is an invisible tax that quietly undermines financial progress. It is neither sinister nor accidental. It is a predictable consequence of human adaptation within modern economic structures. Recognizing it does not mean denying enjoyment, but it does require mindfulness, mathematical clarity, and a systemic perspective.
By understanding how desires expand with income and how incremental consumption erodes potential, we reclaim agency over money. The quiet power lies not in more income alone, but in deliberate management, allowing financial freedom to grow while avoiding the hidden drains that most never see coming.